Now let's talk about drains and channels, which are very common in concrete industrial buildings, and they're used for different purposes. And there would be a drain going along a slab, for example, collecting some fluids or draining them out for whatever reasons. And they're usually very difficult to model with cuts because of their shapes and the way they're. So in Comosys, what we have are specialized commands, specialized cut commands. So let me just select this slab and right click, and then let me just show it a path. It's going to select a few points. Point number 1, 2, 3. Let's go like that. Let's go to the mid. Let's come back over here and let's go out from there and then right click. Now, the moment I do that, you see on the screen that this channel, let me just close the cut so that you can see it better. And yeah, so you can see that this channel has been created all along that path which I showed with a few clicks just by selecting the points. And normally, if you were to do this by using the normal cut commands present in typical commercially available softwares, then this would be pretty time consuming. And this is not all. If I were to just double click on or open up the cut, for example, and double click on that, you would see that there's a lot more going on over here. For instance, I've got control over the thicknesses of these or the widths of these channels. So I can enter 500, for example, and if I press apply, the width of the channel changes. But I can also press 500 and say 1000 and then go back to 500. And in that case, the second part, the second leg of the channel has a width of 1 meter, and then the rest go back to 500. So this gives me even more control over what I can do with the command. Another thing which I can do is I can turn on these little boxes over here. And when I do that, the ends have been modified, if you can see. So this kind of a detail is pretty common. And wherever it's pouring into the final detail could be something like that. So imagine doing that by using the classical cut commands in Comosys. That would take you a long time. But the presence of such dedicated cut commands will really make your job a lot easier. Another thing which I can do is I can give chamfers. So this was point number 1, this was point number 2. So I can go to my point number 2 and give it a chamfer of, say, 1000 by 1000. And if I do that, you see that this chamfer is created over and above my original definition. There is even more I can do with it. Here I have complete control over the inner chamfer and the outer chamfer. So if I want, I can ask the program not to create the outer chamfer. And if I do that, you see that the outer chamfer has not been created, but the inner chamfer has been created. And this is something which might be the requirement of your particular design requirement. So this is, as you can see, this creating these kinds of cuts, while it's possible to do them using the normal cut commands as well, but having commands, dedicated commands like this, would really make your job as a detailer much easier. Here is another trick which you can do with this very same macro. If you can use this little checkbox over here to create the covers that we've been talking about. So if I turn this on, for example, and I press OK, and I turn off the cuts, you can see that Comosys has created covers for the entire drain all along the way. And these are customizable, and you can modify their locations and the types of handles and this and that. There's a lot of detail, which I can't go into right now. But the point being that with a single command, just by selecting point 1, point 2, point 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you have created a very complex detail, which then allows you to go directly to the drawing side and create the drawings automatically from this model, instead of taking it to AutoCAD and finishing it off in AutoCAD for details such as these.